Hello, I'm Adam Pirtle with Texas Housers. Today we're going to talk about late fees. Tenants complain about late fees for good reason. The law allows a landlord to charge a lot of money for a late fee, provided that certain conditions are met. This is all in Section 92.019 of the Texas Property Code if you want to look this up for yourself. The law says that a landlord can charge a late fee if 1. It's written into the lease that they can do this. 2, that the late fee is reasonable. Remember the word reasonable because we're going to talk about it in a minute. And 3, that rent is paid at least 2 full days after the rent is due. In other words, if your rent is due on the 1st, the landlord can't charge you a late fee unless you pay on the 4th or later. So how much can a late fee be? Like I said earlier, the law says that a landlord can charge a reasonable amount. In 2019, after Tenant sued a big apartment management company for charging unreasonable late fees, the Texas legislature defined what can be considered a reasonable amount for a late fee to protect landlords from getting sued again. The law's definition of reasonableness depends largely on the type of building you live in. So if you live in a building with more than 4 units, like a big apartment complex, the law says that it's reasonable for a late fee to be up to 10% of your rent. So if your rent's $1,000, a late fee of up to $100 a month is considered reasonable under law. The landlord can charge this fee all at once, or she can charge a daily fee for a smaller amount of money for each day the rent is late. If you live in a building with 4 or fewer units, the law says that a late fee of up to 12% is reasonable under law. So again, if your rent is $1,000 a month, a late fee of $120 is reasonable under law in this case. Unfortunately, these 10 and 12% reasonableness percentages aren't actually limits on what a landlord can charge for a late fee. The law says that a landlord can charge more than 10 or 12% of your rent if he can show that the charge is reasonable. However, if the landlord is charging more than 10 or 12%, you might want to consider consulting a lawyer. If a landlord's violated the late fee law, the landlord is liable to the tenant for the sum of $100 plus 3 times the amount of the late fee collected in violation and the tenant's attorney's fees. Tenants can get in a hard spiral of paying late fees on late fees. The law does not require a late fee payment to go towards late rent. Instead, the landlord can apply the late rent to a late fee, leaving excess rent needing to be paid. If this happens, the landlord can charge a late fee for next month as well. In this way, tenants can late fees can add up over time to be huge amounts of money. So here's an example. Let's say your rent is $1,000, that your rent's due on the 1st of the month, and that the landlord charges a $100 late fee. In May, you're late paying rent. You pay the landlord $1,000 on May 16th, but you don't pay the $100 late fee. The next month in June, you pay the landlord $1,000 on June 1st, right on time. But the landlord applies part of that $1,000 to the $100 late fee for last month. If you don't make up that $100 deficit in time, the landlord can charge you another $100 late fee in June. In this way, you can get trapped in this cycle month after month. If the late fee is a requirement of the lease, you can also get evicted for not paying a late fee. If you believe your landlord has violated the law, contact a lawyer. The State Bar of Texas helpline can connect you with an attorney and sometimes even a free one if you qualify. The number is 1-800-504-7030. That's 1-800-504-7030. Thanks so much for your time. I hope this video was helpful, and good luck.